Live long and prosper to all Star Trek fans, and greetings to everyone else. Hello everybody, this is Gnostic Agnostic, your very good friend, and today I would like to talk with you about SamiZaatari. Now, SamiZaatari recently posted a video wherein he challenged any and all atheists to provide a disproof for the existence of God. Sami, at the very beginning of your video, you said that something you love to do, it gets you going, is to think like other people, and that's great. I didn't know that about you. I love to think like other people too. I'm going to take that as an open invitation for, well, anybody. But, more specifically, me personally, to critique any and all of the things that you've said in your previous videos, which is something that I've been dying to do. Would you like to join me? Let's go.
Assalamu alaikum to all the Muslims, and greetings to all the non-Muslims.
Sami, is that an appropriate greeting to start a YouTube video? I don't really think so. In that greeting you start up a true dichotomy between Muslims and non-Muslims. You yourself obviously identify with the Muslims category. To all of them you say, Assalamu alaikum. That means, peace be upon you. No, it doesn't mean that. It has an incredibly deep meaning rooted within Islamic culture. It's a very sophisticated blessing that you bestow upon all your Muslim friends. And then what do you turn around to do? Then you turn around and say, greetings to everyone else. Not only that, but you just sort of spit it out. Greetings to everyone else. Creating a true dichotomy between two groups of people, one of whom you identify with and the other which you don't identify with. Greeting the group of people you identify with a very warm, intimate, and positive greeting, and then just sort of throwing this off-the-cuff, oh, hey, how you doing, to the people you don't identify with. Not only is that exclusionary and divisive, it also betrays an us and them attitude on your part, Sami. Don't get me wrong. Being clear in your terms is useful. It's necessary when you're talking about different topics. When you're having a debate between an atheist and a Christian or a Muslim, you've got to have an atheist and you've got to have a theist. And it's okay to label those people while they're discussing, because they represent those different viewpoints. When you begin to label people as their viewpoints, you've gone too far. When you start labeling people in casual conversation by their religious affiliation, that's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. People are not their religious affiliation. Hey, Christian. Jew, how you doing? Alright. Hey, pantheist, how you doing? Yeah, it's good to see you. How are you, Muslim? Great. I'm not doing bad, infidel. Thank you very much for asking. You don't do that. Actually, more specifically, you don't do that. In your video, you don't divide people by their religious affiliation. You divide people by their affiliation to your religion. You divide them into the category of Muslim and non-Muslim, in the essence of what is supposed to be pleasantry in your YouTube video, the greeting. Assalamu alaikum to the Muslims, and greetings to the non-Muslims. Right at the beginning of your video, Sami, you set up a binary, and on the side of the binary that holds the people you're affiliated with, you send a very compact but very meaningful greeting, a blessing. People you're not affiliated with, you sort of toss this off the cuff, hey, how you doing? Typical sort of greeting that doesn't really mean anything. I resent that. I think your audience deserves better than that, and I think you can deliver better than that, or I hope you can. In either case, I'm going to expect more from you in the future. Next topic. Homosexuality. Sami, you think there's something wrong with homosexuality. You think it's unnatural, and therefore immoral, and sinful. The reason you think this is because two men and two women, through endless sex, cannot produce a baby. Now, I have an entire video refuting all the arguments I could think of against homoeroticism and homosexuality. If you want to find it, go to my channel, Gnostic Agnostic, or you can just type in on YouTube, homoeroticism, homosexuality, and it's the first video that pops up, baby. Yeah. I'd like to use the logic that two men or two women can't produce a baby through sex, and I'd like to apply that to your prophet, Muhammad. Muhammad married a girl named Aisha, not sure if that's how you pronounce it, Aisha, when she was 6 or 7. He consummated that marriage when she was 9, prepubescent and obviously infertile. Through as much sex as they wanted to have, they could not produce a baby. If the reason that a man and a man, or a woman and a woman having sex, is immoral, is because they can't produce a baby through that activity, then for the same reason, Muhammad having sex with his 9-year-old wife, Aisha, is also immoral. From your theistic standpoint, this means that Muhammad is sinful, and therefore an illegitimate prophet. A liar. I would like to know how you resolve that. As an agnostic atheist, I disregard the idea of sin as belonging to a false understanding of metaphysical reality. While I do not label Muhammad as sinful for his behavior, I do see his legitimacy as a moral beacon tarnished by his blatant act of pedophilia and having sex with a 9-year-old girl, whether or not he was married to her. And the legitimacy of that marriage is another issue entirely. Next topic. In your last video, you challenged atheists to provide an account for the non-existence of God. As you must know, this is entirely backward. Therefore, when I hear you challenge atheists to provide an account for why your beliefs are false before you abandon them, I see Linus with his blanket. I see and hear a man who hides behind exactly what makes his belief in God so absurd. Its unfalsifiability. By asking atheists to disprove God rather than attempting to prove it yourself, placing the burden of proof on the party which should not have the burden of proof at all, because of the logical norm that states that anything which would be taken as true must be accounted for with evidence or abandoned as not true. Have you ever heard the norm that everything must be taken as true until it is disproven? I've never heard that norm. Actually, I have. That's why I believe in invisible pink unicorns, teapots flying around Saturn, fairies, the flying spaghetti monster, and every god ever. When I see and hear you putting the burden of proof on atheists, asking us to do the work which is by all rights yours, the burden of proving God rather than disproving God, I see you waving a white flag. If you had any arguments that were convincing to you, that you thought would convince me, us, anyone, you'd be putting them forward. If you had arguments that stood up to logical scrutiny, if you had arguments that you knew could not be dismantled, that proved God, you would not be hiding behind unfalsifiability. Asserting that any claim you make is unfalsifiable is not a point in that claim's favor. Asserting that any given deity is unfalsifiable merely relegates it at least to the status of every other deity, and also to the realm of invisible pink unicorns, tooth fairies, Santa Claus, the flying spaghetti monster, and teapots flying around Saturn. That is not a good place to be. The sooner that theists realize that bringing up unfalsifiability, the unfalsifiability of God, is not helpful to their case, the more quickly we can sophisticate the discourse, and the more healthy and intellectually honest the discourse will be. And I really hope that that happens soon, because I'm kind of getting tired of hearing about unfalsifiability. Sammy, that's all I've got for you today. I've hoped I've helped you on your self-proclaimed mission to understanding the perspectives of others better. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any responses, great. Other than that, just keep it real, man. Later.